Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Sumbat Serbekovna. I'm personal project coordinator at Nazarbayev Intellectual School of Astana. And let's greet the schools that we have today. Our first speaker is Evgenia Rashkova from 21st Century Integration International Secondary School. And our second speaker is Kristina Sidolova from School of Young Politicians. And our third speaker is Kristina Uskova from International College of Continuous Education. Our speaker number 4 is Rustem Akhmetov from Nazarbayev Intellectual School of Astana. Our speaker number 5 and our final speaker is Daria Pedina from International School of Astana. And we are very glad to have you today and at our annual online IBSA conference. And we would like to thank you for participation, for your time. And we also would like to thank your supervisors who worked really hard providing feedback to your work and helping you, guiding you during writing your report and completing your product. And today we'd like to know what kind of product you've created and why you choose your product and your topic. The main goal of our event is to share our experience and broadcast the talent and enhance the communication between EBSA International Baccalaureate schools. And let's start with our first speaker, Evgenia Rashkova, who created bilingual book Rita Leperita.
Thank you so much. I need a couple of moments to prepare my presentation and I'll be ready to start.
Yes, please.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So I think that right now I'm ready to start. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this conference. My name is Eugenia Rashkova, and I am an MYP5 student of 21st Century Integration International Secondary School. I'm 15-year-old, and my personal project is about bilingual books, as you can see at the name of my presentation. So the main target of my project is to create books, to create them effective for learning and make them eco-friendly. So let me start with introducing myself a little bit more. Firstly, I'm a self-taught digital artist and 2D animator. I speak and learn 6 languages, including English as a subject at school. Russian is my native language. I also learn Spanish at school, and as a hobby, I also learn Norwegian, Finnish, and Ukrainian. I can speak them a little, but they mean a lot to me. In May 2021, I graduated from the violin course in a children's musical school. You can see its name in here. In the same month, I passed Cambridge Assessment English exam in level B2 on grade A. In the summer 2022, I claimed a Python for Beginners certificate from SoloLearn. I do programming as one of my hobbies. You can see all of them in here. I also play guitar and do robotics, and you can see other hobbies in here too. So Rita Leperita is a small business prototype I created as a website. It was long ago before I started my personal project, but the project is not only developing the prototype, but mostly improving it. As a part of my project, I've added a few pages on my website, created lots of advertisements. You can see 3 of them in here. 2 of them are PNG images in here, and 1 of them is a whole animated video. So right now, I'll introduce you to the main characters of my project. On the left, here's Rita the puppy. She is the main character of my business, and she appears in every book I created. On the right, here's her mother and her best friend, Rafa. They also appear from time to time. Right now, I'm going to discuss creating a bilingual book. It is actually the most interesting and exciting part of my personal project. I really enjoy writing and creating art for the books. So right now, I'll jump straight to it. Firstly, I need to introduce you to bilingual books themselves. A bilingual book is a book written in 2 languages at once. You can actually see an example in here. My books contain not only the text of the book, but they are whole student books with grammar exercises, vocabulary material, and lots of tasks like we see in student books at schools. Here on the right is a brief instruction on how to use my books. Firstly, you need to read the story. You can actually do it in two ways. You can read the language you learn first and then read your native language, or you can do them both at the same time. Then you need to complete the tasks and you can use grammar material if needed. Then there is a story quiz to check your knowledge, and then you can revise the words you're not sure about in the vocabulary material at the end of the book. This is my inspiration. So back in 2022, I discovered an app called Unuhi when I was searching for a new way to learn Spanish. I fell in love with their books. I like their simplicity and their format because no paper is used to create them, which is excellent for the environment. And in addition, it is so easy to sell and advertise an online product as they do. So after I read one of their sample books, I realized that the new words I just learned are so easy to forget, and I needed a solution for that. I was too lazy to write them somewhere to learn them by myself, so here's how I came up with the idea of creating a perfect bilingual book, which would have all the grammar material you need. So here is an example of a book I created. This is one of my latest books. It is called What Did You Do Today in English, and it has 305 words in it. So in this book, there is a short story about my main character, Rita, and in this book, she's bored on a rainy day at home. She then calls her best friend, Rafa the giraffe. You can see her in here and in here too. And Rafa tells Rita about her day, and then at the end, Rita gets an invitation to spend a day with Rafa. This book also contains all the additional materials. And right now, I'll tell you a little bit about the plan I use to create my bilingual books. Firstly, it is as simple as it is written in here. I create the story in English. I've been interested in writing since I was a little girl, and I've even participated in some of writing contests. So that's what I do, and I really enjoy it. And after I create the story, I add all the illustrations. So as I mentioned before, I'm an artist, so I draw all the illustrations myself using Adobe Illustrator on my personal computer. Then the cover of the book is created. I use my computer also to create the cover. So here you can see a small evolution of the cover of the first book. This is how it looked back in August 2022, and here's how it looks right now with its updated version. Then I create vocabulary and grammar materials. You can actually see them in here. This is grammar material I provided for my latest book, and here's some of the exercises. Then as a fifth step, the exercises I create, then as a fifth step, the exercises are created. So for me, they are the main fun. I create them based on my 10 plus years of experience doing variable tasks in English and other languages, at school, at home, and etc. And I truly enjoy the process. After they are created, exercises are then tested with the teachers at my school and the early readers. Then I translate the book into Russian and Spanish as a part of my personal project, and then the translations are checked using these special resources. I use SpanishChecker.com for my Spanish grammar and Grammarly.com for the English one. Then I export the book in PDF using this process to avoid copying my material illegally, and using this way, I keep the comfortable format without threatening my work. Right now, I will discuss the impact of this personal project on my future. Firstly, is Rita La Perita my future career? When I grow up, I really want to become a 2D animator, so I don't really think that this personal project will become my future job. However, it can be related to what I want to do, and I will definitely continue working on this project after the personal project will be finished. So after the finish of the personal project, after its deadline, actually. Rita Lepi will become a fully functional bilingual bookshop, and half of its money will be donated to a charity organization. This project can definitely help me to get into the university using all the art and animation I created, but the degree actually will only matter on my skills. To finish with something, a little bit about my website. You can use these codes to access my website and my Telegram group to follow the latest news on the shop. And in addition, to this day, my website does not accept any payments or any receipts due to the specific personal project guidelines and terms. You can learn more about this on my website, and more information will be soon available in my Telegram group. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm finished.
Thank you, Evgenia. I really liked your product and that your product is going to be released in your Telegram. And also, I like that you included a lot of information about your product. But I have a question. Like during the completion of your product, did you meet any kind of difficulties? If you had met any kind of difficulties, what kind of difficulties you met, and how did you overcome them?
Actually, yeah, there were some difficulties because firstly, this is a lot of work, to be honest. So I needed to make everything on time to follow the timeline I've prepared for my project. And while doing researches, people sometimes would not fill in my forms on time, and I had to struggle with that because I need all the material to be checked to finish the book. And sometimes I did not have the option to do that in time.
Okay, I see. If you have a question about the product that Evgenia created, you are very welcome to ask it, or you can write your question in the comment.
No, I really liked your project. It is great.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, Evgenia, again. And we have to move on. And our second speaker is Kristina Sedolova from School of Young Politicians, who created UAE Traditional Women Clothing and Jewelry coloring book.
Yeah, hi, hello. I'll show my screen right now. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Christina and I'm from Russia, from a school of young politicians. And this is my project about UAE traditional women clothing and jewelry. My aim was to learn about the traditional women clothing in UAE in order to draw my own coloring book to introduce women's dressing in the Middle East to MYP students and to break the stereotypes that people have about that culture. You may ask, or you may think, why I choose specifically United Arab Emirates. Basically, when I was 7 years old, I moved to UAE to learn English and Arabic. Living there for 5 years were by far the best years of my life. And as someone who shares the same religion and similarities in culture, it was an incredible experience for me. I was also really interested in furthering my knowledge in the culture. In the future, I also plan to move back to United Arab Emirates, apply to a university, and hopefully become a fashion designer, where I can interpret my ideas and lifestyle into my future clothing line. The relevance of my project is basically I would like to show the UAE national dress and interpreted modern trends in this type of clothing. I would also like to popularize it among the community. We live in a multicultural world, and I believe it will be a great opportunity to introduce this wonderful and mysterious culture to the world. I want to present my project with the aim of using personal and cultural expression as my global context. I also will present my own style of fashion, woman fashion from the UAE. Moving back to Russia, I realized that a lot of people had their prejudices and stereotypes that weren't true and ignorant and really offensive. I hope that my project will help to destroy engraved stereotypes about women's rights in choosing to wear such clothing. Here we can see like my project, basically the coloring book. At the end of the presentation, I'll show you a video of my coloring book. Some of the pages were already colored. Basically, in one of the photos, you can see me presenting my project to one of the students, where I showed them a poster that I made and my coloring book and my presentation. Here, you can also see some of my sketches where I was practicing some of my skills and or designing clothes. And picture number 3 is basically one of my sketches, which you will see later on. In UAE, traditional clothing is a symbol of honor and culture for the Emiratis. You will rarely see Emiratis fully wearing Western clothes, as they take huge pride in their traditions. Their traditional dress has deep roots in their religion, and which is Islam, and which further on goes on to culture. Their clothing also emphasizes modesty. The abaya is also one of the traditional clothing, which is widely spread among Arab countries right now. It's basically a very loose, elegant cloak, which is usually black or any color. Maybe if you notice, black is like the most popular color there. The abaya is also worn on top of other clothes. Underneath the cloak, women can wear whatever they want. Although linen and cotton are used to suit the hot, humid weather, which they have in the UAE, crepe is usually the most used material. Nowadays, you can actually go to like any mall or any park and you'll see women wearing Dior or even Chanel designed abayas. My mom still has them, and hopefully she'll pass them on to me because I really like how they look. Next, we have jalabia, or some of us may call it kaftan. It's basically also a very loose type of clothing, which is like a little sundress. And they're very detailed and decorated with embroideries. They come in plethora of colors. You can have a blue one, a green one, a yellow one, or even like the colors of like the national flag. Also, you can wear loose pants underneath the dress, which are called sirwal. It's like a choice you have if you want to. Next, we have the hijab, or the headscarf. The hijab covers the neck and hair according to Islamic teachings. A very light material which allows air to go through is worn by women. Shell is probably the most worn style, which I wear myself. And it's a black scarf loosely placed on the head, covering the hair. Here we can see some of my drawings. Basically, picture 4 and picture 5 are my sketches that I've done myself. One of my aims was also to actually improve my drawing skills. So I kind of practiced that as well by trying something new. The burqa. This is by far actually one of the most interesting things. The burqa looks like it's made of metal. However, it's traditionally made of particular type of cloth, which has this unique look of metal. The burqa is lightweight and is actually sweat absorbing, which is very convenient considering the fact that it's very hot and humid in the UAE. The burqas can come in variety of colors, which can be green, blue, or any color you want. However, the green is considered cheap, while the red one is like rich and by far much more expensive than other colors. However, the yellow is basically the most worn style. And as we can see in the middle, there's this small piece of wood that keeps the burqa in shape and bridges over the nose without touching the face. Burqa is tied to the back of the head with white cotton strings. In the olden times, every woman would make their burqas themselves. It was like a little tradition in every family. And nowadays, you would actually rarely see younger generation wearing burqas because they moved on to different styles. However, you would 100% see older women wearing them that, they with the aim to represent their culture and the roots where they come from. Another fun fact about the burqa is that the design is actually inspired from their national animal, which is a falcon. Maybe like later, if you look at pictures of falcon, you might see the similarities between like the burqa and the beak, which is like another fun fact about the culture. Nowadays, UAE has its own recognizable style of jewelry. The necklace called shnab is a crescent-shaped ornament on a long chain. All of these are still worn with pride and love in ceremonies. In addition, UAE's traditional jewelry inspires modern jewelry designers. The result is contemporary style, bringing the rich Emirati identity. And here's actually one of my sketches that I drew on my iPad. In this sketch, I used different elements from the Emirati culture. The jewelry was inspired by traditional Emirati jewelry, which is shnaf. The ornaments design symbolizes the stars and galaxies. The clothing itself is jalabiya, which I showed you before in my presentation. And the style I created myself. Jalabiya can be worn like anywhere. Basically, you can wear it at home, to a party, or to a mall. You can even wear it as a wedding dress, which will contribute to your roots. The head ornament, or like the crown, you may call it, can have any variation of gems. However, the pearls will always show the rich and incredible history of the United Arab Emirates. Another thing that I've done is I created a survey in Google Forms, and a lot of students and even teachers took part of it, where they answered these questions about their age, gender. Do you like how female clothing looks like from the Middle East? Do you think that the clothing enhances the woman's beauty? Do you think that modest clothing oppresses women? And what's the use of Middle East clothing? And at the end, I asked them to write their opinion about my sketch, which you can see on the presentation. I basically inserted it in the survey, and then they wrote their feedback. Here is what we can see is that majority of the people that took my survey were girls, and their ages were between 10 and 15. So here's one of the questions from the survey. And does modest clothing oppress women? 44% of people agreed that modest clothing does not oppress women. 38% people agreed that it does oppress women. And 19% of people weren't sure, or they didn't know if it does or it doesn't. Another diagrams we have, basically, do you think modest clothing enhances women's beauty? And 47% of people agreed that it does. 29% agreed that it doesn't. And 23% of people, they don't know if it enhances or doesn't. Diagram 2. Which of these statements are true? The purpose of the modest clothing in the Middle East is 52% of people agree that it's religious duty to wear such modest clothing. 29% of people believe that it's their culture. And 17% of people picked all the above. And it's actually kind of interesting that nobody picked the climate situation because, it's hot. Nobody would want to get sunburns. And the right answer to this question, which of these statements are true, is basically that all the above. The Emiratis take everything into consideration, and that's how their traditional clothing was formed. Basically, my survey's data analysis is that the participants in my survey were girls from the age of 10 to 15. Half of the participants believe that modest clothing in the Middle East enhances women's beauty. However, 40% believe that modest clothing oppresses women because they believe it's part of a religious duty. From the results of the survey, I realized that there's still a need to break stereotypes. During my school presentation, I tried to educate students by telling them about my experience living in Dubai and how a lot of the things that they thought weren't true. I educated them about the culture. I answered some of their questions about the religion and why such style of clothing and traditions is so important to them and how it's part of their Muslim Emirati identity. Here we can see that modest clothing doesn't only exist in Muslim Arabic countries. For example, we can see that modest clothing has been present in other cultures such as Japanese, where women wear beautiful cloth, which is wrapped around them, which is called kimono. In Russia, traditional clothing was present before 18th century. It enhanced modesty and Russia's rich culture. Here we can see that the headpiece was present, which is called kokoshnik. And married women, after their marriage, they would wear headscarves. And every woman back then would wear beautiful long dresses, which were called sundresses. And as we can see, all of this type of clothing is part of their religious and cultural identity. And I think it's very It's very ignorant to say that it all comes from oppression. However, it's been part of their lifestyle for thousands and hundreds of years. Conclusion. What I thought was that we can apply traditions in everyday life. I believe it's beautiful, practical, and from the aesthetic point of view, artistic. It's a form of art on its own way. For many years, the culture and the religion was hidden and shamed by the outside world. A lot of propaganda and media's lies ruined the perception of their lifestyle. I'm sure lots of people would be curious, or this could be even an eye-opening experience to them. The clothing choice isn't just based on their religious and cultural beliefs, but also on their climate situation. Throughout the year, the climate is from 20 degrees Celsius up to 45 and even more. We all have to take into account the radiation we receive from the sun, which leads to sunburns, hair loss, and skin cancer. That's why I support and I don't shame, I don't judge women who choose to dress this way. And I actually like the fact that they consider taking care of their health. Another thing that I wanted to say is, as Europe advocates for freedom of choice for wearing any type of clothing, why are women who choose to follow the religion, who choose to dress this way to honor their God, shamed by the world? It is their choice, a choice that does not harm you. Modesty had never embarrassed anyone. Ignorance and hate is the problem. It's 2023, and unfortunately, there's still a need to educate people on basics. This survey proved that there's still space for improvement for our society. So let's improve as human beings and make our world a better place for all people. Here, the next slide is basically the source, where the sources where I took my information from. And at the end, I promise to show you my product. Here it is. It's basically a coloring book that I made. You can see that some of them were already colored. One of my sketches is here. And there were many other versions, but I gave them out to other people so they could color it themselves. All of these drawings were drawn on my iPad, which then I printed out and colored myself, or I would give them out to my friends who would help me color it themselves. Yeah, thank you for your attention. I really appreciate it.
Thank you a lot. Do you have any question regarding the product created by Christina? No?
No question.
No.
Okay, Christina, I really liked your product, especially that you included a lot of women clothing, a lot of types of women clothing and jewelry, and also I like the conclusions that you've made. But I wonder if you plan to release your product, like your book, coloring book.
Actually, yeah, I thought about releasing it. That's why, like, my first step was to print out more versions of it, and I handed it out to other students to color it, just to see how well it does.
I see. Thank you, Christina, again. And our third speaker is Kristina Uskova from International College of Continuous Education. The final outcome is Athlete Teen Nutrition Plan.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Christina and I'm 17 years old. I study at International College of Continuous Education, and today I'm going to tell you about my personal project. 1 second, please. I'd like to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I would like to start with what was the reason that I chose this project, and personal project was the most difficult stages of my study of the MVP program, and the main goal for me was to choose a topic that could be that would interest me in every possible way, and I would not get bored by doing project because it lasts for about 6 months, and sometimes it can be really tiring to do it every day. And I'm a professional athlete and basketball athlete. I have a contract with a basketball team, and sport is a huge part of my everyday life, which requires a specific nutrition. So this topic has always been very close to me since I have a predisposition to changes in body weight. Not self, based on basic information from the internet, literature, and the experience. Scientifically based approach and carefully planned actions, I would not achieve the expected result. The goal of my research was to learn as much as possible about all the aspects of diet therapy from a professional point of view and to approach this issue as a scientific one. And the goal of my product was to create the most simple, accessible diary and rational nutrition for a teenage athlete based on the data obtained as a result of an experiment on myself and the conducted inquiry. The main research question was how to create my own food diary based on my personal experience. So the first stage and the most important one was to study the thematic literature, something like recommendations from professionals, alternative options for diet therapy, and etc. Then view all my personal records and save diet data. So I've adhered to this diet for about a year. It was actually last year, and I saved all my data in special app. In a special app on my telephone. So there was a huge data that I used for this project. To study, then the third stage was to study all possible contradictions to diet therapy, such as consultation with a specialist. It was actually my diet nurse in our school. Then the first stage was to sort the information by sections. And the final stage was to make a layout of mini book with the correct use of information received. So I use plenty of different sources and also the internet and books. So these are some examples of the information that I used. I really like the book 50 Ways to Calm Yourself Without Eating. It really helped me to study and learn about nutrition from psychological point of view, which was really important for creating my own nutrition. So yes, as I said before, especially useful was this book, 50 Ways to Soothe Yourself Without Food. And also I used the Fat Secret application to save my data about calories and meals that I eat during a day. So it taught me how to regulate the experiment procedures using my personal data. And for evaluation, I used the MLA registration system. So then, before the book, I interviewed a diet nurse at our school, and I asked her some questions. I have a recording of that, but I don't think that it will be really interesting. But it was quite important for creating my own nutrition, because I really wanted to hear an opinion from a professional. So my menu looked like this. It is actually an app called Fat Secret. And I used to write all of my meals and calories during the day for about a year. So there was a huge data, and it was really helpful in creating my own diary. So as an online book, it looks like this, but as a printed version, it looks like this. Let me show you. 1 second, please. It looks like this. I know the text may be inverted. So you open it, and then information. It is really minimalistic and easy to use because I created this book for teenagers, and teenagers don't tend to read a lot nowadays, unfortunately. So the next stage was creating the actual book, and I think that it was the most difficult stage for me because I've never created my own book by myself, so it was quite hard. And I've read a book about writing a book, so it really helped me during this process. And oh my God, sorry. And as a final version, it looks like this. I have an electronic version and a printed edition. So if you would like to read a prologue, so here it is. So I would like to tell you about difficulties that I faced during my project. The only but extremely significant difficulty in working on the project was the specifics of creating a printed publication mini book. I needed to learn the structure of creating a mini book, editing it, creating content, and much more. But in conclusion, I would like to say that this personal project has been the most valuable research I have ever done in my life. And it was quite difficult in terms of creating something all by yourself and managing your personal time properly. I have learned a lot about nutrition for an athlete, and this knowledge nowadays helps me stay in shape. And I think that this project could have some perspective in the future. However, it was quite a personal experience and for a narrow circle of professional athletes. And I believe that I will modify and improve my product and publish it officially with the help of some promotion during studying at university in the foreseeable future. So that's it probably. Thank you really.
Thank you. I really liked that you created electronic and printed version of the book, which is convenient for many people. And do you have
I forgot to show you. Sorry for interrupting. I forgot to show you the electronic version. It looks like this. This is really hard to show the printed version through the camera. So 1 second. Oh, it looks like this. 1 second. It is. Doesn't. I think my internet isn't working, so that's why it doesn't. Oh, yeah, here it is. So it looks like this. Really convenient and easy to use, and the language is really easy. So, like this.
Okay, yeah, I see. You did a great job and you created like the different version to make it convenient for people. You included a lot of data, and I like that the product is based on your own experience. That is really good and cool.
Yeah,
And I have a question. Are you planning to continue your work? I mean, are you planning, maybe probably you are you planning to create another menu or?
I don't know actually. I've thought about that, but I don't think that nowadays I have time for it because I'm a professional sportsman and I have a school to graduate this year. So I don't think that I'll be working on this project during foreseeable months. So maybe at university I'll modify and publish it online and publish it more virally.
Thank you again. We enjoyed your product, and our next speaker is Ruslan, who created 3D modeling.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. 1 second, please. So, do you see my screen?
We see.
Okay. So, good day, dear guests. Welcome to Kazakhstan. My name is Rustem, and today I would like to present my personal project. If you see my slide right here, you can immediately grasp that today I will talk about architecture. So, my final product is designing a 3D model of two-story cottage. At first glance, you could consider why and for what is that project. Really, why did I all of a sudden needed to design a three-dimensional cottage, considering that I'm still young after all, precisely I will not build it in the near future. Actually, well, there is several causes why I decided to stop on this choice. Is the first that my future profession is an architect. If I'm not mistaken, I have dreamed of becoming an architect starting from the 7th grade. I always used to be amazed at how remarkable a building might appear. How the light and the placement of the windows, how the color and the texture of the walls harmonically complement each other. Looking for these details, I settled on a goal for myself that I will become a contemporary architect who will build technically advanced houses for people. Secondly, my dream university is Boston Architectural College. To be short, in order to be competitive among other applicants, I should have strong portfolio for which this project became as a great opportunity to realize this ambition. And finally, I love drawing. I started drawing when I was only 3 years old kid, starting from the cars, from the trains, from motorbikes, and but when I got matured, when I came to the age, my interest transformed from the colored pictures to the realistic portraits. I draw them since 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Most of my portraits are done with pencils, and now you can observe one of the best works. For someone who didn't recognize who is here, it's the characters from The Matrix, Keanu Reeves, and Carrie Ann Moss. Looks so great, isn't it? All right, so the next question for which I needed to reply for myself is based on what I would like to design my cottage. Well, I'm the kind of individual who doesn't look for the easy ways. And I, without any hesitation, decided to build my house, considering building standards and the architecture styles and their features. It means that I decided to implement science and art to my product. Of course, it seemed more complicated and almost unliftable to complete. There was a high risk of failure, but I insisted for myself that I will explore an architecture sphere as far as my environment and the internet allow for me. Therefore, I can state that this decision was done intentionally and I was ready for such challenges. So after mentioning my goals, I started investigating the architecture. Here you behold some extracts from my process journal. Yeah, there is so many text and so many images, so you can't understand here what I have written. But actually, this information helped to me to design first plan and the second one. So you can see here how I could accurately measure the sizes of walls, their lengths, the area of the rooms. And you could say, wow, Rustem, your investigation and drawings are so brilliant. Bro, you could send this work as your final project and even so it will be fine. I actually had the same hesitation, but I confidently said for myself that I will finish what I have started. I continued, and thus we came to the scariest part of this project, SketchUp 2022. It's what I surely could name as the pinnacle of madness. But actually, it was scary at the beginning, since I discovered this app in the 7th grade, where we built something like that. Yeah, it's just literally one big white box for Shelly, which I named it like one building. I found this screenshot from the old computer, and when I saw it first time, I was horrified. I didn't want to construct my house like one big block and definitely didn't want to construct it for a Shelly, for the character from Brawl Stars. Therefore, I breathed more air and could make that. By the way, you can see that I modeled a sewerage and power systems inside the walls. It's here. But it's not the end. I decided to go so far, so I decided to make this bunch of triangles, circles, and rectangles to the realistic image. And for this purpose, I downloaded the House V-Ray plugin that makes this picture more realistic. And with it, the previous results looks like that. Now it seems more presentable and tasty, isn't it? So smoothly creeping up to the final results, despite for the number of times that I spent for this project, I actually spent about 200 hours, I couldn't satisfy all my success criteria. So thus I could complete only 62% of utility systems, including water pipes, sewerage, ventilation, but not including heating system. It doesn't mean that I couldn't finish my final project till the end of the deadline. It means that architecture is a hard profession. It requires a couple of knowledge. It requires plenty of investigation and time to be wasted for education. And I literally couldn't take enough information and knowledge from the internet in order to accomplish ventilation and heating system, since it's too complicated. But I could complete the aesthetic part of the house. Aesthetic part of the house, including interior for 50% and exterior and landscape design for 100%. Talking about what was the most difficult for me, I would say that the investigation, collecting information was the most challenging. Despite for the fact that I spent less time than for product designing, my investigation, the most curious for me was that I didn't know from what to start. And then this endless row of questions. What do I need to take into consideration when building house? What nuances are there in placing water pipes like that? These questions needed to be replied and to be answered, which seemed to me so satisfying and so disgusting and overwhelming. However, I liked the process of making the product. Despite that I spent 100 hours for this process, it was astonishing to see how after each line your home looks more like that you imaged in your mind. So therefore, this process was more relaxing and interesting for me. So what I will do differently, probably I would redistribute my time more competently for creating a product. I would rethink my evaluation criteria and my expectations in order to make the personal project less time waster. So yeah. In the end, I wanted to reply for the last question. Will I develop my first project further? Yes, I will. Despite that I couldn't satisfy all the success criteria, I still consider that my project was successful. To be honest, I have never had such an interesting and breathtaking experience. This three-dimensional model is my first huge step that was done towards my ambitions and goals. It became a starting point for my future development in the architectural sphere. Shortly, I hope to design 15 other projects. In the end, collect a perfect competitive portfolio for universities. Before the end of such a wonderful presentation, I would say some words for the conclusion. So our school can ask us to be engaged in boring services, in lessons, complete projects, and works that seemed to us boring, nasty, tedious, and so on. Therefore, while doing some school stuff, connected with your interests, connected with your hobbies. For this purpose, you should find yourself, follow the voice of your heart, and look for something that makes you happy. The work done on the basis of your interests is that things that you definitely will not regret. Thank you for your attention. If you have some questions, you can ask me.
I guess there is no question. And I really liked how you concluded your work. I agree with you. And also I see well executed product. Thank you a lot. And now we have our last speaker from International School of Astana, Daria Petina.
Right, good day everybody. Let me show my screen. Right, so good day again everybody. I hope that you can see my screen now. Right, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let me please introduce myself. My name is Daria and I'm from International School of Astana, and the topic of my personal project is creating plant-based sublingual pills from stress. So you might be wondering, why have I chosen this topic? And well, this sounds a bit of an arduous project, but before determining the topic of my project, I asked myself the following question. How do we understand the world in which we live? And to be more precise, how do I understand the world in which I live? And so I have always been passionate about biology and chemistry, and I have always wondered how the teeny tiny pills can impact the whole humanity and basically generate stability in our world and help people to live better life. So therefore, the global context I was rendering during the completion of my personal project was scientific and technical innovation, since it kind of deals with technical innovations and something unique. So what's the relevance of my project? Well, stress is everywhere, and actually stress is faced in every walks of life, and it is kind of obvious that generally we have to find the healthy way to deal with stress. And based on my surveys, I have found that right now, like nowadays, teenagers, and not only teenagers, but basically all age categories, are dealing with stress not properly. They begin to eat junk food, and in most cases, they also eat sweets, which is not a healthy way to understand how to cope with stress, right? So here you can see my goals. My learning goal was to investigate possible organic, inorganic substances as well as plant components that contribute to stress reduction and meet the standards for the creation of medicines. To study the concept of pharmaceutical technologies in the field of tablets production. And the product goal was to create plant-based sublingual pills from stress. So here you can see the fragments of my planning step while completing the personal project. So of course, they're not fully written like the success criteria I mean right now, but basically I have evaluated advantages and disadvantages of existing drugs, and I have derived that the most the most important problem with these drugs were aftertaste, that basically they had not pleasing aftertaste, and they were not so comfortable and convenient in the use. And also there you can see the fragment from my action plan. Well, because it was so broad, I couldn't manage to paste it in the presentation, but I can say that at first, of course, I also conducted the investigation, the research, literature research, and also have conducted lots of surveys. And after that, I basically managed to contact Medical University of Astana and to cooperate with them in order to create my product. So there you can see the stages of how I met my learning goal. So as I already said, at first I conducted surveys, and there's one of a lot of surveys that I have conducted. So, and I also managed to derive the average statistical stress of our school. After basically understanding that problem indeed exists in our school and basically just in the world, I managed to contact professionals. So there you can see me interviewing doctors in Kazakhstan, in a city of Astana. They're phytotherapists and also other doctors. So likewise, I was able to determine necessary factors and composition of my pill. Then also I have taken Columbia University pre-college course about pharmaceuticals and basically the production of pills, and which of course has impacted me greatly because I basically begin to understand the whole difficult concept of producing pills and how basically pharmaceutical companies work. And as you can see, likewise, I developed my communication skills and also thinking skills. So theory, but action is basically what was the most exciting. Basically, action was the most exciting part of my project, from principles into practice. So as I said previously, I was able to contact Astana Medical University for the purpose of producing my pills, right, from stress. And there you can see that we have tested the pills for disintegration and also solubility extents. Because sublingual pills, they're a type of pills that are basically which is mandatory to maintain appropriate solubility and disintegration time. So, and it was the most exciting stage of my project because I was not only able to basically develop mandatory skills for being a pharmacist and just to produce pills. I was also able to listen to lots of interesting lectures from the professor herself. And of course, that was a life-changing experience because, well, of course, it is not frequently that you are able, to come to medical university and basically just have this experience that it was almost like an internship. So there you can see my final product. So there is a pill, and there's an official document that approves that pill was safe enough to basically give these pills for others or to others. And since this pill was safe enough, in order to basically evaluate my success criteria, I was able to give those pills for some of the teachers in our school community. And there, I just want you to show a short feedback from one of my teachers after she basically has taken this pill.
There is no sound.
There is no sound, really. I'm not sure how to cope with that problem, really. Right. Well, okay, I just can then tell you briefly, orally, that this teacher basically was saying that the pleasancy of the pills was quite good, and that basically it was very convenient to use these pills. As you can see, the pills are like small enough, right? So it wasn't like a big problem to kind of consume these pills. So right now, please let me talk about the difficulties I faced and just make sort of a short reflection. So the kind of most evident difficulty was basically to write to this medical university and cooperate with them, because it was quite difficult to, well, since universities are very busy, it was quite difficult to kind of keep the contact and be able to come to this university and basically to give my idea and realize the idea within their help. But as a result, I showed the perseverance, and I think that I managed to complete my project with flying colors. So conclusion, how has personal project impacted me? Well, as I said before, it was a life-changing experience because, well, first and foremost, I would like to be a doctor in the future. And if not a doctor, I would like to deal my career with biology and chemistry. So it was very useful for me because I was able to impact necessary skills, to develop necessary skills. And I think that in the future, I probably will be furthering my project, and I will be broadening it into something like greater. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, I'm all ears.
Yeah, any questions? Okay, I have a question. Like, are you planning to apply to, in what department and what university you are planning to apply, and how the project can help you?
Well, I'm planning to apply to the U.S. universities as well as to European universities. And well, obviously, it is very appreciated when universities like see that, for example, this student already has some kind of experience before applying to this university and before going to the medical field. And I think that this project will help me to stand out from other applicants. And so that's very it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for motivation. And I see that your work is completed on the high level. And let's move to the end of the event. I see how all of you worked really productively and you were motivated. And your work is not about the writing report and completing the product, but also about the time, motivation that you put on your product and on your project overall. And as an IB student, you've shown how you can think not only critically, but also creatively. And I really liked every product that you presented today. Thank you, everyone. And I want to give the floor to our MOP coordinator, Ms. Gudin.
Hello, dear students. As we came to the end of this personal project conference, I would like to take a moment to express my gratitude for your participation and engagement. I see, and all of us witnessed today, that you have done very huge work with your personal project. I hope that in today's conference, you managed to get the valuable insight and inspiration from other students, and I hope that you will stay connected. After this PP conference, all the information will be published on our site, so you will find out more information about the students, the ones who you got interested with. So thank you very much. You did a very good and impressive job. Continue working on it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, again. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.